Hello, hello, hello. Hello and namaste to soul aligned identity shifting from conditioning to self mastery. A 2-day workshop I offer here on YouTube Live for free because I had my internal guidance to do so. Mainly because I think a lot of people are in a so-called in-between state, and identity shifting is one of the key tools that we can say are the key to manifesting reality in a conscious way. And part of our evolution collectively, individually, of course, therefore, also is to remember our true essence, to remember that we are the creator and can manifest reality in a very playful, conscious way. And over the next 2 days, we will journey today, first day, towards our current self, releasing anything that's blocking our next level version to emerge. That is the purging and purification phase. That's how I call it. And tomorrow, we will step a little bit more into what we have defined as our next level version and what is maybe already calling inside of you in alignment and embodiment. 2 days that are very condensed, something in, yeah, what I feel as an arc we usually transition through. But in 2 days, of course, you cannot really master yourself. It's an ongoing journey, but I will give you a roadmap, a framework that you can use for yourself through all these cycles we go continuously through to shed the old and invite the new. And you may be here because either you have already heard of identity shifting as a manifestation technique, if not the manifestation technique that is the most, yeah, I feel even efficient or beneficial. If you want just one single manifestation technique, it's identity shifting because it's connected to your belief system, which creates reality. We will come to that also later at the later stage. So either you have already heard of it and are curious what soul aligned identity shifting means, because if you've been in my field, you know that everything in my world circulates around the soul, the return to soul, and the reconnection to source. So a lot of people talk about identity shifting, but forget the soul part a little bit in it. And you may be therefore called to go deeper, to shift identity in a more truth-based way that is truly aligned with your soul and your soul purpose and path. Or other option, you somehow feel lost on your path. You feel something doesn't fit you anymore. Your current version and your reality don't really reflect what you desire, what you dream of. You are maybe feeling lost or confused or in a void state, and you don't really know further. And sometimes even that comes with the fact that you may feel bothered about yourself, annoyed about yourself, because you repeat cycles of habits, of beliefs, and don't really know what to do, how to come out of it. No matter in which situation you find yourself, one is for sure, you probably want change. Yeah, you want to change. You want finally change and go out of this in between state and finally open your wings and fly again. Of course, in these 2 days, we cannot, yeah, I cannot guarantee that you have your wings and fly high, but it lays a foundation. And also, of course, it is up to you how much you dedicate time in all of this transformation, especially because I know from our psychological mindset, oftentimes what we, yeah, what we do not consciously in a committed, devoted way is just like here in, here out, or other way around. And maybe some knowledge that is imprinted on you, but it becomes not a lived, embodied reality. That's also why tomorrow we will go much more into the embodied, integrated state. Without that, it's just knowledge. It's just something you know, you can maybe repeat, you can even maybe understand in the way that you can explain it to someone else, but it is not a lived reality. And that's key for tomorrow. When you join this fully committed all in your heart, I can advise you to download the workbook that I've created, including two meditations, one for today, one for tomorrow. The links are in this workbook, and you find this workbook, the link to it, down in the show notes for each of these videos. So if you haven't yet, I really recommend downloading it. There's some further information also for embodiment later, and about identity shifting in a soul aligned way. Before I begin really diving into this topic, I would love to bring us into this present moment, really, that you, if you can, stop doing anything that you do next to watching this, and that you really come in this moment of presence in your heart, so that you not only listen but absorb, and that it goes deeper than just watching another YouTube video. Yeah. So if you are with me, then I invite you to close your heart and place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. So close your eyes if you can. And just arrive here with me and all these others who tap into the energy of this video, be it live or in the replay, to just arrive in this space together and let our souls beyond time and space weave an energetic field of love, truth, and highest expression of ourselves together. Because from conditioning to mastery, to self-mastery, also means to always act and talk, walk, be in our highest expression and our highest self as a normal. That it is not an exception, but that it is a normal to be in our highest version that already knocks on our doors. And just take a deep breath into your heart, letting all these thoughts that are still with you drop into the earth. Just give it for a moment space so that you can receive new insights, new reflections. Also drop anything that you may have as an expectation or something that you feel you have to do or must do. Any obligations, responsibilities now for this very moment cleared out of your field. To land present in this moment, open with your heart and aligned, connected to your essence, your soul, your truth. And then take a deep breath through the nose and exhaling, little shake in your body to just come back into the space, opening your eyes. So, soul-aligned identity. What does it actually mean? To just first come to the same page. Identity shifting. Identity shifting is a very common manifestation technique that is used because your identity, which is created from your belief system, your beliefs you have about yourself, creates your reality. And that is I would say in most cases, a conditioned mind or a self-aware conditioned mind. Yeah, you can either run on autopilot on something, on programs that have been conditioned to you from society, from religion, from systems, from your parents, from your culture. And you can, if you are more aware, if your consciousness has already expanded, you can also run already on part of the programs are still conditioned or on part of the programs you have given yourself. And if you are interested in reprogramming yourself, which is part also of identity shifting, I've also already recorded podcast episode about it, and also in my Love Satsang transmissions, live YouTube, you will find one transmission about that. And identity shifting is changing your belief system about yourself, your self perception, your self concept consciously, so that you can experience a new reality, can attract, magnetize a new reality in of your field. Reality is a byproduct of your identity. In essence, of course, if we go deeper, it's a byproduct of your energy. But your energy, what you send out in the universe to receive something as your perceived reality hologram, is based on your belief system. And your belief system, in turn, is connected with your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, your habits, your reactions, the way you dress, yeah, you name it. The identity is a collection of labels you give yourself or others have given you, and you believe in these labels. We transition through identity automatically, and identity shifting is a conscious way of transitioning through identities. We need, in a way, an identity to operate as a human being in this world. Our soul is identityless. But once we descend into the body, once we incarnate and inhabit this physical dimension, we automatically somehow have an identity. Alone, if you have your name, if you have a nationality, if you have your birthday and birth time and birthplace and so forth, already labels that give you a certain identity on which you base your belief system. And vice versa, your belief system creates further your identity, enriches your identity with new labels. Labels also in the way of I am this and that way. I see myself in this and that way. I'm always whatever. I'm compassionate. I'm whatever job title you have. Yeah. So this is very normal as a human being that we have an identity to be identified, to have an ID. So someone can also say this is this person, to be identified. And for the soul, if we tap into the soul level, what I always want you to remember is that the soul plays with identities to experience and explore different perspectives of existence. Different perspectives, different viewpoints, different archetypes, also in some form. The soul uses identity to experience and explore itself from different angles, and also to express itself through different versions of the same. In a way, you can see it, your identity is a core essence, your light, your truth, however you want to call it. Your soul is the core. And around that, wrapping papers, yeah, layers of identities. And oftentimes, identities are a bit connected with the roles we play, the mask we wear, in which life area you have specific attributes, roles, the brother, the mother, the father, the lover, the colleague, the friend. Yeah, all these roles and titles we also give to us are part of identity. We can have different identities in different life areas. And then we have a core identity that we identify with predominantly. Soul as a core, layers of identities around us. And when it comes to identity shifting, we change this wrapping paper around us consciously. We think when we're already on this level of consciousness of realizing, hey, we have much more power about who I am, who I think I am, than others tell me, or that the system has made me believe. If I know I have more power, I can change the self concept. I can change and twist and tweak this identity that I give myself. Identity shifting is then giving yourself labels in a new way that are, of course, healthy, beneficial, contributing to your soul's purpose, expanding you even more, letting you live your potential, which is, of course, limitless. So, whenever we are at an edge of evolution, when we know, okay, the outdated version, the outdated identity of me, somehow I feel restricted, I feel constrained, I feel like even being in chains. Oftentimes there's a voice in our head like, there's a new identity knocking on my door, wanting to emerge out. But for that, I have to identify what is outdated and what I have to transition to, what I have to become to embody that new identity. You will get clues and insights and signs on your path. You get nudges, insights from your own being, inner knowing kind of feelings, what this new version is about. So the more self-aware, of course, you are, the more in tune with your signal, with your soul signal you are, the more you will see and know and feel. This is the next level version that is already emerging from the below of the surface or from the wrapping papers around me. This is one layer or multiple layers that can be shed, that are false, that are outdated, that restrict me to have an even closer identity to my soul. What is often the case in still our society is that these identities are often created even when we realize, I have a lot of power, I can shape and shift my identity to create a new reality, that people create identities based on ego. And ego is a low vibrational version of yourself. That is why soul aligned or soul based identity shifting is a much more truth based version. I mean, tool. Yeah, a version of you emerges that is much more in resonance with your soul's truth, your essence and truth. For that, of course, you need to know what is your soul's essence and truth. Yeah. So we have the ego version, ego identity shifting, ego based identity shifting, and soul aligned identity shifting. That's a differentiation I want you to understand. When you have ego based identity shifting, it is a lot about I want to be seen, I want to be heard, I want to be validated, I want to have a certain image, I want to have a certain reputation, or career path, or I want to belong to a certain group. It's a lot of outward focus. It's basically, in essence, I want to be loved. That's the ego based, not soul based, ego based identity shifting. It's when you know you can shift identities, but you shift it according to what your ego tells you. According to, I want to be seen, heard, validated, loved, cherished, whatever. And still, a lot of people, I would argue, are in that state, although they may not know it. May not be aware of doing that, because then also sometimes, yeah, too much self-talk in ego-based structures are in place, too much fragmentation still, that you don't recognize your true essence, your soul, your signal, your truth-based signal. And with soul-aligned identity, you know, any identity I want to align to, my next level version should be closer to my true essence, should be closer to what I am in my whole, in my not fragmented, let's so say, in my whole being, that brings me even closer to this core. Remember this. That brings me closer to this core of my being so that I can really embody at some point my soul. And for some, it may be a new concept. And I also can suggest listening to several of my podcast episodes that I already have shared. I have a lot of resources about this topic of soul alignment, soul blueprint, first of all, soul alignment and soul embodiment, because I see it as the key to New Earth. We don't want these ego-based roles and masks anymore, where we meet heart. We want to meet heart to heart, soul to soul. We want to meet in an authentic way, where we can look into each other's eyes and say, I see your soul. This is what we all long for. But as long as there are ego structures in place, it is more difficult to see your soul, and you're also to see the soul in someone else. So to get that clear again, ego-based identity shifting still has a wounding inside of you that makes you shift not in your highest expression. Soul aligned identity shifting is when you decipher, analyze yourself deep down to the core of your being, your essence, your soul, your light. And from there, see how you can align your identity to that essence, to your soul. A higher level version is that of you, of course. See, it is also in the way I have this image always in mind. If you, if you, yeah, if you shift identity from a wounded place, it's sometimes a little bit like, yeah, I see the dirt on the wall. Yeah, on the wall. I see all the dirt, all the fragmentation and distortions and ego patterns and unhealthy mechanisms that result from that. Also, the limiting beliefs I still hold. Maybe not that aware subconsciously, but maybe you see some of these dirt sparks on the wall, and then you just paint white or any color over it, like, okay, it's new. Yeah, new identity. I just painted over the dirt without clearing out what actually was below that. And that's where this purging and purification phase comes in. That is part of today, of day one of our journey. Because to align to your soul, first you need to dig deep into your shadow self. With shadow come these topics of ego, of course, any ego patterns, especially related to fear, fear-based mechanisms, self-protection, sabotage, then also a closed heart, like armor, heart armor. And on top of that, related to that also, the negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, karmic entanglements and attachments, including ancestral stuff, and also past relationships, anything that, yeah, entangled with your energy, where your energy somehow got affected and distorted and fragmented. And all these structures are still lingering somehow in our system and create energetic blockages. So purification and purging purification is a lot about shadow work and energetic hygiene. Before you can step into a soul aligned identity, you have to identify what is still in my system that blocks to step into the next level version. Next level version always comes with letting go. Letting something go to make space for the new. That's why I split it in 2 days. Essentially, it's a letting go, inviting in, or a shedding and rewiring. And this is just a very condensed way also of what I teach in my one-on-one mentoring Soulgasm over 6 months, just in a more outspread way, different stages where we transition automatically, but also consciously through when we want to come out of one stuck version of ourselves, outdated, annoyed by it already, ready to release it, and transition step by step towards the soul aligned version that is embodied in integrity and in a state of ecstatic bliss. Yeah, soul alignment, ecstatic bliss. This is what I have as a main message always and again. So we have an outdated version currently. We have a soul aligned version in the future, if you think in terms of the human mind. Of course, your next level version, this soul aligned version, already exists in the quantum field. It is just one energetic vibrational match away. And that's easier said than done, of course. What I invite you to do, and that is part of the workbook. So if you haven't downloaded it, I advise you to download it, as I said. But I wish you today, and it should be a little bit interactive here. Yeah, it is not just a transmission from me today, as you were maybe used from my soul love satsangs. It is really for you to make a change in your life. So that when you have your workbook, you also find one page where you are asked to list 10 I statements about your current version. Your current version is what you believe to be true about yourself. And I want to be honest with you what you believe about yourself. 10 I statements, I am this and that. I am like this and that. So that you identify what you think about yourself in truth. What is there day in, day out in your belief system that makes your identity? Sometimes we are not really aware of that. So this exercise, list 10 I statements from the perspective of your current version about yourself. This exercise is for you to identify limiting beliefs. Yeah, limiting beliefs about yourself currently. If you want, you can also split it in beliefs you feel beneficial, you feel empowering, and beliefs that you identify that are somehow limiting. Of course, oftentimes these limiting beliefs are a little bit under the surface, are in your subconscious. So you may want to meditate, to reflect, to journal, to really dig deeper. And to help you with that, I also recorded a beautiful and powerful meditation. You find the link also in the workbook, where you go through literally kind of like a tunnel to release that old self and step into your soul. This is what I invite you to do for purging and purification today, that you really get down to shadow work again. And I know sometimes it's used inflated, this work, but we are collectively in a phase where this is just necessary. And some part of us, some soul aspect of us has somehow signed up for that, signed up for clearing out the dust and dirt of centuries, lifetimes of humanity who has forgotten. We are all here to remember again. With each day, new codes of remembrance are coming down. Depending on what you are open to receive, you will receive your insights and codes of remembrance, of questioning, first of all, and of also be a little bit of being a little bit rebellious against what has been told over centuries to us. Yeah, so soul aligned identity, to come back to to that, comes hand in hand, first of all, with clearing out ego based patterns, fragmentation, separation consciousness, survival mechanisms, forcing, fighting, controlling, resisting, karmic entanglements, all of these shadow aspects that actually just want to be seen, want to be elevated into the light so that you can work with that you can embrace it, accept it, love it, transform it, alchemize it, and integrate it into your being so you operate again from a perceived sense of wholeness. Because from a human psychological perspective, all these shadow aspects somehow keep us looping in fragmentation, in lack, in limitation, in restriction. And if we are in this lower vibration of lack, limitation, frustration, control, survival mechanism, protection of our heart, we are much more prone to being influenced, looking outside, outsourcing our power. The more you remember your true power, despite the dust and dirt, the more you gradually shift or step this ladder up in your vibration and your consciousness and your awareness, so you can, despite the clutter, you can see above that and see, this is why it is there, and I'm now taking this responsibility and make the decision to look at it consciously, to transform it, integrate it, work with it, do shadow work. And then from that higher vibrational state, I align with my identity. When we come to this differentiation between ego-based identity and soul-aligned identity, you can also see that the ego-based identity is, or maybe not, really fancy about doing shadow work. If you see it from a higher perspective, soul level perspective of, okay, I know why I'm here. I'm part of this journey of remembrance, of getting out of the forgetting into remembrance again, to reconnect with my soul and source. You will nevertheless go through the darkness. Sometimes you don't even have a choice from a human perspective, and you have at some point the capacity to go despite your ego rebelling. Sometimes we are forced, maybe. Ego keeps you in loops of repeating things, of clinging to things, being attached, of doing it the same way, of being in the comfort zone, of telling yourself stories, of sticking to old narratives that often are also tied to victim mentality, of negative self talk because of past experiences. It's actually, the ego is a lot in human terms in the past and in the future, while the soul is just in the present moment, because every time frame you can name from a human perspective collapses back into the present moment. So any identity you want to shift in, including your next level that you already feel inside, is here and now, just a shift away. And a shift also, not only in energy, but first of all in consciousness. You have to become aware of, okay, I see this version of me. I feel this version of me. I believe in this version of me. I can think and feel and perceive and act as if I am already this version of me. You draw it into your awareness, you draw it into your field. And by having your consciousness focusing on a specific version that you already somehow feel, that forms more and more the more you focus on it, you draw it energetically in your vibration. And then it becomes more and more something that's in your energy field, until you have become that version. And obviously, reality has to follow that version that you have called in. For this, also part of the purging and purification phase, before we can do that, actually, we need to stabilize our nervous system. Sometimes this is forgotten, but a lot of us have stored trauma, especially, whatever trauma it is, where your nervous system was not ready to hold a specific energy in that sense, or not be ready to be in a situation where you were thrown at. It was overwhelmed. It went into fight, flight, freeze mode, and something got stuck as an imprint, as a remembrance also. So first of all, because often our ego clings to these stored imprints in us, we need to stabilize the nervous system into safety. Clinging to the past events you have experienced as impactful in the way of they have touched your heartbreak, they are related to people you lost, or you were just overwhelmed with a situation that you couldn't handle in that moment, then it's always connected with some form of stress, of some form of survival, of I'm not safe. So also when you go into purging and purification, I feel that sometimes we are held back, although we know what to change even, we are held back by a nervous system that doesn't feel safe. Our body doesn't feel safe. Our system, body, mind, heart, doesn't feel safe. Creating safety in the nervous system, like breath, grounding work, meditations, heart connection, being in the present moment, taking this inner part that has fear at the hand, helps you to step into the shadow work process. Nervous system stabilization is the first step. Then shedding what is not truly you, to reconnect with your soul and source, And then to stabilize a new identity based on the reconnection to soul and source. 4 steps in total. Today is more this third step of, or the second step of purging and purification. Tomorrow is more about the last steps of aligning to soul and embodying that version. To make it a little bit more practical, yeah? Make it a little bit more practical, I invite you really to sit down after this transmission, when you find the time after this transmission, to sit down with your I statements. The I statements, your version you currently have, to identify, to really get down to what is my current version? What do I believe about myself? What is my image, my perception of me? Yeah, not about your reality, not what is outside, although you may be not satisfied entirely with it. What am I? Who am I? What do I believe about myself? And look at these statements with more clarity, with more also distance, not identifying with them. Usually you identify with these statements. That's why it's your identity. But to have a little bit of more distance to it, your higher level perspective, bird's eye view, maybe even soul level perspectives, and see like, okay, this is really a limiting belief. And then ask yourself, why do I hold on to this belief? If you want, you can, of course, also ask, where does it come from? But I'm always a little bit more a fan of tapping into a future version of yourself. Why am I holding on to it? How can I release it? Would be priming you for forward movement, while looking back at the roots is helpful, sometimes necessary for your mind to understand and to release it. It may, be too stuck into the past again. Look at these I statements. What is limiting you? Why is it limiting you? Who is and what is, which part inside of you is holding on to this limiting belief, or this outdated pattern, or these toxic relationships, or this not fitting your soul purpose job? Whatever it is that you cling to and that at the same time blocks you, hinders you to move forward. This may be tied to one specific life area. Maybe it's tied to health. You have toxic, unhealthy habits, that repeat and repeat and repeat. Or to love and relationships and romantic connections. You always attract the same type of partner. You always end up in the same family constellation. You always end up in the same friendship kind of dynamics that don't really resonate with your heart. Or it might be in job. Yeah, this kind of like the major areas of life, in job, purpose, career area, where you feel you have not any enthusiasm for your job, where you want to step into a soul aligned, purpose driven job, or where you want to even be self employed, where you want to really do something from your heart. Name it, whatever it is. You have always, in this outdated version that you want to purge and purify, you always have something that's still holding on to it. A part of you. Think in parts of you. That's one advice also I can give. Parts of you. You are not entirely one version. You always have different versions inside of you, different versions that constitute one overall energy field, one identity. Different parts inside this version of you currently discussing of, okay, this is my old version. Yeah, this is my old version. My old version used to do this. I think about myself like this. All these I statements and your current reality that reflects that. And then there's this version already calling you to the next level version, to the more soul aligned, more truth-based, more heartfelt felt version of yourself that wants to be unleashed. That's like ringing the phone and says, it's time to shift. Two versions, or maybe even multiple other parts of you talking in your head. We have multiple parts inside of us, always discussing, maybe struggling, Sometimes one part is more dominant, sometimes the other part, and then it becomes also an internal split. And this internal split keeps you in this in between state where you currently may find yourself, in this in between of the old and the new, of this version you feel you have outgrown and the version you are to be reborn into. So with shadow work, I mean, shadow work is a whole topic for itself, and that's a topic to dive in our lifetime, because there are always things coming up to the surface when we are ready to shed the next layer. Yeah, that we are not, that is not our truth, that not our true essence, our soul, our conscious and yeah, our conscious core. But one part that is necessary after stabilization of your nervous system, that it is safe to transform, that it is safe to step into a new version of yourself, not holding on to the old, you have to identify which part of you is still holding on to the old. It's sometimes a little bit like new version is calling you forward, old version is sucking you into the past again, into no, it was really nice here, and we don't know what's happening if I let go of something, because you have to let go of something to step into that new version. We are safer in this comfort zone, not too bad here, so just let's stick around, and what could happen if, yeah, this talk. And then this part, obviously, we don't have to call it evil or whatever. This part, to listen to it. This is part of shadow work as well. And some, I feel, yeah, somehow miss this point of asking this part that is still holding on to something, be it limiting beliefs, distorted programming on you, yeah, the conditioning you have received, and all these patterns from society and lifetimes and collectively what we have been infused with, toxic relationships, yeah, all these things that are still stuck inside of you. There's a part of you clinging to it. Otherwise, you would already be in your new version, no? Otherwise, you would already live in your new version. There's one part of you still clinging to the old. And it's important to ask this part, really as if it's a person inside of you, one part of you inside of you, personified. Why are you holding on to this old version? What is the benefit of staying there? To be very honest with yourself, why you are staying in this outdated version. Although you know, another part knows, I'm already ready for the new. I have to change even to, yeah, step more into your purpose, step more into your power, more in your potential. Change is inevitable, that we know. Transformation is what happens over and over again. Shedding and or dying and being reborn over and over again while still being alive is a natural process of our human existence. We naturally transition through different versions so that we can expand, that our soul can really dig deeper into what and who I am. I mean, what I am in essence: vast, limitless, endless. What's the benefit of staying in your limited self? Any identity, by the way, is limiting. If we are coming from the vast state of being, we are everything. Identity is just one tiny aspect of ourselves, looking through a very specific lens to explore and experience one specific aspect of reality. Anyways, what are you clinging to? What is the benefit of clinging to it? Because there needs to be at least one benefit that lets you stay there, that sucks you into that version again, and that may even resist to change into that new version. Fear, being scared, not feeling ready, voices, all voices. And then to be compassionate about that, be compassionate with yourself, to accept this voice, accept also that, there's a part inside of me actually that is scared of stepping fully into this next level version. There's a part of me that resists. There's a part of me that thinks it would be easier if I just stayed where I am. To accept that with compassion, with self love, And then to take this part at the end and say, yes, I see you, I hear you, I accept you, you are there. And at the same time, it's safe, nervous system safety, mental safety, emotional safety. It's safe to come with me, if this part is the other part, to come with me on the other side of the rainbow to my new version. You don't have to abandon this part, but take it with you to the next version. Integrate that part. Make it believe it is a bigger benefit, so to say, to step into your next version than the benefit you currently experience in that outdated version. Sometimes it helps to make your why you want to step into your next level version, the more soul aligned version, more truth based version. Sometimes it's helpful if you make your why big enough, bigger, even bigger, so that this part of you that clings to an outdated version with a valid benefit to it somehow loses priority, loses impact, loses its voice. Yeah, so you make this part of the next level version that calls you in bigger than this other voice and take this to the other side so that both together, hand in hand, actually step into this new version. Why I'm talking so much about this version of you, the outdated version that is in resistance as part of purification and purging, because as I said, shadow work is such a deep topic, broad topic, and very individual what exactly in your energetic field is ready to be purged and released, yeah, on whichever level, physical level, energetic level, mental level, emotional level, spiritual level. All these levels have different purging capacity and different, in a way, your energetic signature has different imprints and fragmentation inside. So within this workshop, I cannot go into the details of each of these purging and purification phases. This is something I do in my one-on-ones and my mentorings, especially Soulgasm, where it's more tailored, of course, to the specific use case or scenario you are in. So therefore, I'm focusing on the part that resists, because all the shadow aspects you can also research for yourself. This is where I find myself. This is a topic that I have as insight to deal with, if it's karmic, if it's past life things, if it's some influence energetically, if it's a block inside of your body that manifests physically, different scenarios that may apply to you. And in any case, no matter what it is that needs purging, that needs release, that needs clearance, that needs, in essence, that you make yourself free, that you make space for life force energy to flow through you again. In any of these cases, there is a part that is so used and identified to the old version that resists the shadow work. So the resistance needs to be resolved as well, in addition to doing the shadow work with specific tools that are available out there. We have manifold tools and techniques. We are not short on it. We are in abundance of tools and techniques and people offering their magic. But not of these tools and techniques and people who offer their magic helps if you don't look at this part that resists. At least it needs to cooperate. The part that resists, the letting go of your old version that you have identified with over years, maybe even your whole life, this needs to be taken with you. This needs to be accepted and integrated, and as I said, to bring it into the next version, which also means to, in a way, to jump or to walk or to dance into that version, even if this part says, I am not ready, or something is not in place, or it's not divine timing, or yeah, whatever. Also, in a way, sometimes sabotaging mechanism from this resistant part can come up. Resistance is natural, first of all, also. So you don't have to judge yourself for it. It's more so an awareness that I want you to bring into, to be in cooperation with that part. And the other part of, I want to step in a more soul aligned, higher self version. Soul aligned always also means approximating, aligning step by step with each identity that is more soul aligned towards my highest expression in this lifetime. And for me, the highest expression of this lifetime is if you align your identity with soul. Maybe you now ask, how do I know what my soul actually is, what to align to, and if this version that I feel is on the path of soul alignment? And for me, the most precious tools, in addition, of course, to the insights you receive directly, the channelings you receive directly, the signs and symbols and synchronicities around you, the most powerful tools are, for me, astrology, human design, and gene keys. Tools that also the mind, the human mind, can understand, because our human mind often seeks logic. What is not logical or doesn't make sense, sometimes it's more difficult to believe in. And for identity shifting into a version of you that is on a higher vibration, that has a much more expanded view of life, reality, and what is possible for you, you need an expanded, an expanded view of yourself. You need to step out of your current limited mindset. But the tools, astrology, human design, and gene keys give us something for our mind also to understand. It's sometimes even a permission slip to, okay, this is why I am like this. And I have also one mentoring that is called Soul Blueprint Analysis, where we use all these three tools, powerful tools, together to analyze the soul essence on an energetic level. Because for me, the soul came here with an energetic signature that we can decipher. And these tools help us to decipher our energies, our archetypes, also the predominant archetypes we are living or expressing here, or also the codes we are here to activate within us and also become a transmission of these codes to others. And therefore, I feel baseline also, in addition to purging and purification, and we will come also tomorrow more again in this topic, of course, because it's about also alignment. Blueprint analysis is helpful to step into that next level version. So to know if you are aligning to soul. But more on this tomorrow also, to stay today just in the framework of the shadow work. Yeah, just as a look out already. If you may already ask yourself, okay, I'm talking so much about soul alignment or aligning your identity to soul. How do I know that? We will come to that tomorrow as well. For today, it's more important that you identify your current version, what you believe about yourself, what your current identity is, what of these beliefs are limiting. Some may already be empowering, beneficial, of course, for sure. And to identify especially these limiting beliefs. And then to identify this resisting part, to see what benefits are still there to hold on to these limiting beliefs. Sometimes it's really a question, because from a very sane from a very sane perspective, we always think like, if something is limiting, why do I still hold on to that? Why do I still stick to that? Sometimes it's actually contradictory or a paradox even, that we stick to that, what is limiting, because we all thrive towards freedom and liberation. Identifying that part, the benefits on it, asking it why it holds on to, creating safety in your body, and taking it over the bridge, over the rainbow, towards what you already see. We will go more into what you see as your next level version tomorrow in that practice. Today, more the focus on current status quo. Current status quo. What is your identity you currently are in based on your belief system about yourself, your perspective about yourself, the I statements. And then this part that resists to identify that. So basically, two tasks for you to identify your current identity with these I statements, and the resistance part that has fear, that is scared of stepping into another level of yourself, a new version of yourself. If you're already accustomed with shadow work, of course, and identify something that is really limiting, feel free to use any tools and techniques you know already or you feel called to, so that it is not only what I tell you, that's never the case. I'm just here to give you inspiration and remembrance. You are a sovereign being. That's also a remembrance for all of us. We are sovereign. We get our own downloads, and that's what's more true for you. So use any techniques you feel also called to bring in. And then I also have in the workbook a fire ritual that you can do. Of course, any fire ritual you know as well, to list these limiting beliefs you find about yourself and burn them in the fire. Yeah, to have a sacred ritual to burn that. It's a very common practice, of course, to let fire, the element of fire, transform your limiting beliefs, evaporating into the nothingness of the void so that you are free also. I mean, ritual is just an externalized version of letting go. Sometimes our system, our human system, likes having rituals in place to, yeah, really feel it with your senses. Okay, this is now done. This is now complete. This is released out into the ethers. And what I can also recommend after that fire ritual, that you go into any embodiment and expression. Maybe it's just shaking, maybe it's shaking with the stomping and screaming, maybe it's dancing, any movement, so that you not only shed things from your mind, limiting beliefs, but also from your body. And you don't even have to know always what exactly it is, just with the intention, I'm now releasing anything that's blocking me from stepping forward on my path. You don't have to need to know what it is exactly. You don't need to have to know how to do it. Just let your body guide you. You also don't have to know already what all of these new beliefs about yourself, your new version is, that we are going into tomorrow. Of course, it helps for some. It may help. If you already know, that's good, but you don't have to. Your body has such a big wisdom that you can trust, that you can surrender. Surrender and trust, anyways, good keywords, because with all this process, sometimes you get into this overthinking of, I don't know if I do it correctly, or I don't know if I have now not identified all these limiting beliefs that I want to release, or yeah, overthinking about, analyzing about ourselves, reflecting too much that we get entangled in our own mind. To release that also, so that you trust yourself, whatever you write down or whatever you dance through, that it is exactly what your system currently needs. Not more, not less. Exactly what it needs. To trust yourself in your process. That's also on our path of spiritual awakening, to trust our innate wisdom, to trust our soul's guidance, to trust the higher intelligence of source, of God, of the universe, of the goddess, that always we are at the right spot here and now. So this is purification and purging. Yeah, the phase of purification and purging is, of course, not a one-day event. It's a continuous process of identifying what is blocking you on the physical, the energetic, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual level. These are 5 layers you can look at. What is blocking me physically? What is blocking me energetically? What is blocking me mentally? What is blocking me emotionally? And what is blocking me spiritually? To identify these blocks, these limitations, karmic, ego-based, past life, ancestral, Yeah, to identify that, it's over and over again a process, spiraling and spiraling, because self mastery is not an end state per se, but more so a process of constant alignment and refinement to your higher self, eventually to your soul. Soul based identity shifting, therefore, also is a constant journey. It is not meant that soul based identity shifting is just one version of you and that's it. It's iterations of you, because your soul is so vast, it can express in different versions. But what's the essential to take away here also is that soul based identities are always based in love and truth. Love and truth as a baseline, as a guiding principle. So if you catch yourself in defining an identity, in thriving towards an identity that is based on, I want to have more followers, I want to have a bigger house and car, I want to belong to a certain group, I want to be seen as a top expert in something. Check in with yourself if this is truly aligned with your soul. It may be if you are truly here to experience wealth, abundance, uh, leadership with a lot of followers and so forth. That's not what I'm negating. It can be part of you. But also, it can be part of a sneaky ego saying, this is my identity I have to shift into just to, as I mentioned already, to be seen, to be heard, to be validated, to be loved. Soul aligned identity always thinks in terms of what does expand me, what does contribute to my soul's purpose and path, what aligns me more to my true essence, what is more in resonance with my heart and truth. Soul aligned identity, therefore, also brings you longer term results. Ego based identities, if you come back to attracting your reality based on your identity, an ego based identity will attract an ego based reality. And while your ego may be satisfied in the short term, your soul will not be satisfied and nourished in the long run. Soul aligned identity will really fulfill you on a deeper level. A deeper level in the sense of I cannot even name that. Yeah, there's no word for it. You feel such a strong resonance with it, with the soul aligned version of you, that you can just finally exhale. I don't have to perform. I don't have to be a specific way. I don't fall into any categories. I don't measure up to anyone because I'm just true to myself. Soul aligned identity shifting is, in a sense, also I just step into my authenticity, my truth, my power, my potential. That what I really feel who I am. Not what someone else wants me to be. Not what the system expects from me. Not what my lover expects from me. Not what my boss expects from me. No expectations or obligations or responsibilities except for your own core essence. And all around this, I have many, many resources. If you research in my podcast, in my love satsang on Instagram, I share always and again about this core topic of soul alignment. Why? Because I feel we are in this collective shift that we call New Earth and raising consciousness, and from 3D to 5D and the great split, however you call it, all is interrelated. It is not possible, I would argue, without us connecting again back to our soul, reconnecting to soul and source. If anything from what I talked about today remains in your mind, is this: reconnect with your soul and with source. Because once you are connected with your soul and your source, things align automatically. Manifestation becomes effortless in alignment with love and truth, where you vibrate in a magnetic frequency where others feel, even without logically explaining it or needing to explain it. This one is really, yeah, is really a transmission, is a transmission of divine remembrance. The more you align with your soul, the more others around in your field will remember too. The more people on the planet, if you see it collectively, connect with their soul, remember their power, remember their sovereignty, the more we will collectively rise. And the vibrations of separation, ego, hate, anger, fear, survival mechanisms, fragmentation, war will fall away anyways. Because once we are reconnected, once we plug out of all the conditioning and programming that has been put onto us and plug in again into soul and source, we cannot be manipulated. We cannot be played with because we remember we are the player. We have created the game, and we again can shift this game into one that we enjoy playing. Because I feel during this collective forgetting, people have forgotten to play this game consciously, and soul aligned identity shifting, including then soul aligned reality manifestation, is exactly the remembrance of the power of your creatorship, of consciously participating in this life, knowing your purpose, your standpoint here, why you are here, why your soul incarnated, and to enjoy the game again, to really start playing and not be played with. This is also why these 2 days I feel are important for me to share. I have so many insights and so much wisdom. I sometimes feel, yes, some are maybe not ready to receive it because they are still stuck in their own world. But if you are here, if you're listening, I feel also there's a reason why you are here and why you are listening to it, why you hear it, and why your soul apparently is ready to receive it. And not only ready to receive it, but to do something with this knowledge. I can talk and talk and talk, but it is up to you what you do with it. And that is what we are doing tomorrow. Become more so in alignment and in embodiment. Because without that, knowledge is knowledge, knowledge remains knowledge, and just becomes a beautiful byproduct or empty words. Tomorrow we will dive into more into the reconnection with soul and into how you embody your next level version. Also, the redefinition of what is actually your next level version, yeah? So, for today, remember homework. If you're really committed, if you're dedicated, if you're done with this outdated version, identify at least the I statements that limit you currently, burn them in the fire, dance or shake yourself out, take a cold shower, maybe salt bath if you have, or anything that cleanses you, that clears you. And then come with a fresh mind and heart and soul tomorrow in our part 2 of this workshop, alignment and embodiment. And if you until then want to do a little bit more shadow work also, I have especially also around this topic of reprogramming and reconditioning or deconditioning episodes, podcast, and also love satsang. Then I advise you to listen to that. Also to have a look at my Instagram account where I have a lot of resources, just more short snippets of it if you want to dive deeper into my world. And yes, we will see each other tomorrow. And if you have any insights, any revelations, anything that you can declare, especially what you are ready to release today, then write it in the comments so that you make it complete. Sometimes if we write something and share it with the world, it's much more so done than just in our mind. So really be committed to yourself, because commitment is key to commitment and devotion and going this path really in a self-loved way, in self-love and self-worth, because you are not here to be in your limited self. You're here to expand beyond and align with your soul. Then you make really an impact for yourself and a ripple effect for the collective. In this sense, also, if you have any questions, if you want to, yeah, share your perspective on identity shifting, purging, purification, ego, soul aligned identity, or any topic we discussed today, feel free to use the comments. I'm happy to read them. I'm happy to get back to any questions. And then I wish you a beneficial, purifying ritual, and also the meditation, of course, I have included, to use that for a deeper inner shift and transformation. Of course, 2 days cannot bring you from this lower vibration into the highest dimension, but 2 days can more than you think. If you commit, if you're devoted, if you are all in to finally birth yourself out of this candle of in between and fly as a beautiful butterfly or soar into the sky like the phoenix does from the ashes that you burn today. So much love and bliss, and see you tomorrow.